Today I thought I would share a little bit with you about what it's like to be a mom with 2 kids in after-school programs here in Denmark. Stay tuned.
Come along as my Danish husband and our 2 sons show this American what it means to live a life in Denmark. My New Danish Life.
Hi there and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kelly and I'm an American who lives in a small town in the middle of Denmark's peninsula. But more importantly, I'm a mom. I have 2 boys, ages 8 and 11, and they both have gone through the Danish after-school program, and I want to tell you a little bit about that now. Before we get started though, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing that. I would really love to have you as a subscriber. And if you are one already, thanks so much for following. I appreciate you. As well, if you like information about life in Denmark for foreigners, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up by clicking on the like button. Okay, so what do I think about after-school care in Denmark? Ooh, I like it. You know, I think there's been some culture shocks throughout the years, but I really have to say, I like it. There's more good than bad. And I'm going to tell you what shocked me at first when we moved here, but you're going to see that really these things, maybe some are a little bit annoying and some I'm still annoyed by. But you know, if I have to go without it, or if my kids have to go without it, I probably would feel a little sad because there's a lot of good things to it. What do I mean? Okay, so my big thing that I was shocked by when I first had my kids in SFO. And SFO is what they call after school care here in Denmark. Now I'm going to be talking specifically about grades 0, 1, 2, and 3. That's the very beginning part of school in Denmark. It's called indskoling. And those are the kids that go to this after school care. So when school is all done, there are some kids who walk home, ride the bikes, get picked up, take the bus. But then there are other kids who stay at school and their parents pay for this after school program. And that's something that we have done the entire time because mostly we've been working and haven't been able to pick up our kids. But really, it's a great place for these young ones to stay and play with their kids a lot longer. And it was great for us when we first moved here, and our son had only lived in Denmark for a few months and didn't really know Danish. So it was great to keep him in a place where he was still playing and learning Danish and being kind of comfortable with it all. But if I talk about me as someone who worked in after-school care before I became a teacher in the United States, and someone who worked in education for a very long time and was a student myself at one point in time, I was a little bit surprised. I wouldn't say shock as in, oh, that's horrible, but shock as in, okay, that's different. And that would have to be the open spaces. Meaning that kids have a lot of variety for where they can go during this SFO time. They could be in their classroom. They could be in a communal area. They can be in an area where there's like Legos or crafts or whatever. I mean, there are a lot of different places within the school that they could be in. They could be outside. There are different areas where the kids can play. My son's school is also next to a forest. And I don't mean a couple of trees, right? I mean like a forest. I mean as in you look at the map of our town, it says forest on it, okay? And we live in Midtjylland, which is central Denmark, where there are a lot of hills, okay? So when you go into this forest, you're going like, it feels like you're going straight up a mountain, I swear to God. And there's like a drop off in there. It doesn't freak me out because I have a feeling that my kids will not go that far into the forest. But that'll come later. That'll come later. But it's kind of cool that they do have the variety of places. They can go into the gym. But I mean, some of these places they can only go into if there's a teacher present. But for the most part, that's not the case for these other places. Which leads me into number 2. Number 2 is that the teachers don't always know where the kids are. And yes, I realize as being a teacher myself, once upon a time, that there are always going to be more of them than of you, right? That's just how it is. And for the most part, what do you really need to do? You know, you don't need to engage them and play with them all the time. I mean, you can, but there are going to be a lot of different kids doing different things with other kids, you know? So it's understandable that you don't have an eye on every single kid. I guess that was cultural shocking to me, because in the US, we have this suing culture where you need to know where the kids are at every possible time, because if you don't and something happens, you can be sued, or your school can be sued by the parent. So we're very structured in what we do. And it's not pampering, you know, I mean, literally the teacher could be sitting over here and the kids could all be playing. It's just that the teacher knows where the kids are at all possible times. It's not that the teacher has to tell them what to do or, you know, get involved in everything all the time. It's just that they need to be around them. They need to know where they are. That is one thing that was very shocking. And you know what? I've also heard from a lot of Danish parents that they feel the exact same way. That it's kind of annoying that you go into school to SFO to pick up your kid, and a half an hour, 45 minutes goes by, and you still can't find your kid. To an American, this is like, oh, they've lost my child. That's not really what's going on. It's just they've got a lot of open space, and they could really be anywhere. Chances are the kid is somewhere. Except for the one time when my child decided to go home with another kid and didn't tell anybody. That was an interesting day. Oh boy, was that interesting. Luckily, it happened after 5 years in Denmark and not 5 days, because I would have been a whole crazy mess if that was the case. And of course, it's a time when you need to tell the kids. And this is something that I would love personally if the SFO had some sort of system that they taught the kids. If you're gonna go somewhere where it's far away from someone screaming your name and you can't hear us or whatever else, like in the forest, tell somebody before you go. That is not pampering to know where a child is, because you don't need to go with them. You don't need to hold their hand. You don't need to shovel the sand for them or whatever else, but just to check in, right? Me as a mother, I don't care if my kids go out in the neighborhood and play or go to a friend's house. I would just like to know where they are for the time when they need to come home. I mean, when I grew up in the US, it was one of these things where my mom would just open the back door and she would yell our names. Kelly, come home! And we would hear her because we wouldn't be that far. We would be somewhere in the neighborhood and my mom's voice could travel. And the thing is that she wasn't pampering us. It was just less work for her to have to go find 3 kids, right? Okay, I just think that could be nice. So if you work in an SFO, you know, I'm just giving you a little suggestion. I'm not giving you more work. I'm just giving my kid more work. I would love for my kid to be a little bit more responsible. At home, they know to come and tell me, we're gonna go to the playground. Okay, great. See you later. You know, and then they might come home and they might say, oh, well, we're gonna go to so-and-so's house. So that way I'm not spending all my time at the playground wondering where they are. So yeah, it's just a little culture shocking when you go to pick up your kid and nobody's seen him. I'm just like, what's going on? But I have found out that if you ask the other kids, so really get to know the names of the other kids, if you ask them, hey, have you seen so-and-so? Chances are they have. So there you go. Number 3 is something that I absolutely love about SFO, and I don't know if this is the case for where you live. This could be different every school in Denmark, so please use that comment section to tell me this is not how it is at ours, or this is, yes, exactly how it is at ours. Because every school is going to be different, right? I mean, you go into a McDonald's, you're always going to get a cheeseburger, right? Or you're going to always have cheeseburger on the menu. But are you? You could have expectations when you go to a place because it's a certain way where you live. But when you go to another place, it might not actually be that. I mean, cheeseburger might not be the exact thing that they like to sell in Japan, if you know what I mean. And also, I did work as an after-school person in schools in the US, but that doesn't mean that I understand how it works in every single school in the US. So if you've got different experiences, let me know where you're from and tell me how it's the same or how it's different, because I'd really love to know that. But my third one that I absolutely love is the role play. One time I came to pick up my son and I'm hearing this boom, 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 and they're dressed as warriors with like swords and shields, and they're out fighting the monster in the forest. And they're all in the forest. It's like that's where all the kids are. And it's really fun because the monster was one of the teachers. This is something that I don't think I've ever seen in an after-school program. Maybe they're out there. Maybe some people are really creative. But this is something that would happen quite often when I would pick up my kids. And I just thought, man, that's a lot of fun. And they would have a fire pit, in the part of the forest where they were. And they would be making stew for their warriors. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And that's something that I really love. They would have face paint and really get into it. Number 4, another thing that I absolutely love is all the varieties of like toys and things that they have. I mean, they do have a huge Lego table. They have a container outside of their school that's filled with like these moon cars, like the pedal cars where you've got like the steer sticks on the side. And it's just, I would be in 7th heaven if I was a kid at that SFO. There'd be no way I'd want to go home, right? We're so glad that we put our kids in that program because they have so many varieties of activities that they can do. And, when it's warm out, they'll do things with water. The kids are encouraged to bring their bathing suits and their towels. It's really cool that the kids have so much variety. There's like a big sandbox, there's a playground. There's so many different things that they can do. In the wintertime, they're also playing like Just Dance and things, and maybe they're even watching a movie. So it's a really fun place to be. And my number 5 is what happens when you're done with 3rd grade. Well, my son's in 4th grade right now, and he is no longer able to go to SFO. So he has the option of going home somehow, bike, walk, whatever, getting picked up or riding the school bus. But for him, it's kind of like, well, why would I want to just go home? It's boring, right? He's only in 4th grade. He was only 10 at the time when he had to start doing this. And for us, and a lot of other places, they have another building called Club. And that could be something very close to your child's school. It could be farther away where the kids actually have to walk there themselves. For us, it is a walk for my son to go, but he goes to Club every single day with a big group of other 4th graders from his class. And there's also kids in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, I believe. And they have their own teachers there, the Club people, and they're adults who supervise the kids, but really they're there in case they're needed, right? My son can buy some snacks. They have like toasted cheese breads and like little pizza pinwheel type of things for afternoon snacks. We have an account set up for him because SFO you have to pay for, you'd have to pay for Club. And so we have an account at Club that he can use to buy these snacks. And he has so much fun. They have like a game room where you can schedule a time to play video games if you want with a friend. They have like a big room where you could roller skate and play dodgeball and all kinds of different things. And they even have excursions. So some days you could go on a field trip with Club, and especially over the summertime when the kids are done with school, they have some time that Club is open and kids can actually go on a field trip, maybe to a zoo, maybe to a beach, maybe on a shopping trip. There are a lot of different options for kids, and it's really fun. When we didn't have Corona, they would even have parties. SFO would have parties and Club would have parties. So yeah, if you're somebody who is thinking about, do I want to put my kid in SFO or Club? It's a fantastic experience. When my son's done with Club, he just comes home. I don't pick him up. If he can get all the way to Club, he can get all the way home. It's a very interesting thing to think about because I think in the US, I would have never let my 10-year-old be responsible like that. And it's not because I don't trust him. And it's not because I'm an overbearing parent. And it's not because I'm coddling or pampering. It's because we lived in a big city and we don't have a biking culture like you do in Denmark. I would have had to pick him up. He would not have been able to get from point A to point B because of the traffic of the roads, and it just wouldn't have been logical. It's kind of a shame, you know? I mean, I didn't live in a city. I lived in a big town. So it's very difficult to explain because you don't really have places like that in Denmark. You don't have towns that are 200,000 people with very large roads. You know what I mean? It's a very different cultural reality. I'm really glad that we live in a small town, but I know this exists all throughout Denmark, and it works all throughout Denmark. So if you've got your own stories for SFO or club or after school care in the country where you live, let me know about them in the comments. I would love to know about that. If you want to know my ideas about schools in Denmark and how they compare to the US, I have many more videos in my Life in Denmark playlist, so you can check those out as well. And also, I have a post on my blog that talks about the difference between international and Danish schools and my thoughts on the pros and cons of choosing one when you're a foreigner living in Denmark. Thanks for coming along in this video. I am so glad you're here. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to check out my blog, and I'll see you in another video. Take care.